visiting my channel here tonight, and I wanted to talk to you this evening about skeptical occultism. So, specifically, what I wanted to cover in this video is how you can practice the occult even if you don't believe in anything spiritual or superstitious or anything like that. So there are actually practices that are well known to be effective and valuable and known to science, like proven scientifically. And I wanted to go over at least 3, or we could do 4 actually. There's 4 that I can bring up that we can talk about. One of them is super simple, but we can bring it up anyway. So one of the things that I like to do before getting into it is to do a quick divination. And one of the things that I like to do lately is to do a bibliomancy using the Tao Te Ching. So what I'll do is I will randomly rifle through my copy of the Tao Te Ching, and then I'll land on a chapter at random, and then I'll read the chapter, and we'll see if anybody finds it inspiring or if it resonates with what's going on in their life right now. And before I mention, I see here Azaquel, have a great discussion. Thank you very much. And is there anybody else here this evening already? We have a few other people here already. There is a new feature actually that YouTube has just rolled out recently, and it's about you can get, there's like a leaderboard for if you're leaving chat messages. So if you want to participate in that, I don't know if it's fun or not. Also, I created a goal here. So if we get at least 5 super chats that are worth at least $2 Canadian each, then I will pull a card from my Thoth deck. This is Aleister Crowley, and Lady Frida Harris was the artist who produced the art for this tarot deck, and I will shuffle and pull a card from this if we reach our goal, and I'll interpret it for you guys. All right, so let me do a Tao Te Ching divination first. I'll do a bibliomancy for that. 1 second here. I'm going to set the mic down. All right, so I ended up landing on chapter 51. So what do we have here? Everything streams from the Tao. Everything is nurtured by Te. Everything is made out of substance. Everything is created by the Tao of nature, and from everything on earth that surrounds it. So every living thing should bow to the Tao and its virtue, because they are what it is. Everything that breathes comes from the Tao, and the virtue feeds and takes care of it. They grace things without possessing them. They benefit everything, but ask for nothing back. They give themselves into everything without seeking control. This is the essence of the original intention. That's interesting. So whenever they say Tao, they mean, well, you know, if you know about Taoism, you know that that's a very hard word to define. But when they say Te or virtue, that means the same thing. So Tao Te Ching, Te means virtue, essentially. And that could mean one of 2 things. It could mean either virtue, like virtuous, or it could mean a quality or a power of something. So yeah, that maybe that clarifies things a little more from what I just read there. Chapter 51, that is, if you wanted to revisit that and look into it. If that resonates with you, leave a comment. If you're watching this as an archive later on after the fact, You can leave a comment as well. Don't hesitate to do that. If you found that interesting or wanted to mention something about it, feel free. All right. So, skeptical occultism. There are some people that come to me and they say, I don't know if I really believe in any of this stuff. You know, what is that? Is that something that I can still practice occultism, or does that even make any sense? Some people are, I talk a lot about Luciferianism. Some people are more into the lifestyle and philosophy of Luciferianism, but they don't necessarily practice occultism. Now, I don't think that there is a conflict there, where if you want to practice occultism, there are occult techniques and practices that you can employ which don't actually require any belief. One of them is pretty obvious, I think: meditation. I think it's been studied countless times by medical science, psychology. All kinds of different studies have been done on the benefits and value of practicing meditation. And I don't think I have to go into too much detail. Now, there are a bunch of different forms of meditation. It's typically, you'll hear sometimes people saying that they just kind of chill out and they just sit quietly. And that can be a form of meditation, but I would more call that relaxation. And there is a lot of study on the benefits of relaxation as well. So even if you just lie there and relax, intentionally relax all the muscles in your body, and you can do a check-in and go through systematically, and that's called a progressive relaxation. You can progressively go through and check in at different points of your body until you've covered everything, from your toes all the way to your forehead and your scalp and your eyes, and every part of your body. Just go through and say, is it tense or is it relaxed? And if it feels tense, just intentionally try and relax it. I just call that relaxation. I don't call that meditation, but some people call it meditation. Now, there are other forms of meditation. There's forms of mental discipline where you practice what I like to call concentration, and that would be having a single pointed focused awareness on something, and you're not contemplating it. You are just concentrating on the fact that that point of focus exists. Now, I spent over a year going to a Tibetan Buddhist temple at one point in my life, and we would have this stand which would have a picture of the Buddha on it, and we would use that as our point of focus. But you can use anything. Some people use their breath. Some people use a point on the wall. An advanced technique is the empty space in front of you, where you're not specifically focusing on anything in the room or any particular object, but you're focused on the empty space, a couple feet in front of you. And some people will just sit there with their eyes kind of half open and just being aware of the space that they're in. And if you find yourself drifting away from that focus, just gently bring your mind back to your point of focus, and that's it. Just acknowledge that you've let your mind wander, and then just gently bring it back to your point of focus, and just keep doing that until your session is over. So that's a very simplified explanation of that form of meditation. There are other forms that you can get into, including contemplation, which I get into more in detail. Any of these practices actually are taught in the Novus Ordo Luciferi, which is an esoteric order that I founded, which teaches a system of occultism called Luciferian Alchemy. And many of these practices can be done without having any kind of belief in anything, really. And there's benefit to be had in these practices from a rational, scientific perspective. Now you can go deeper into different layers of it if you do have those deeper beliefs, but they can be beneficial to you even if you don't. So if you want to get more into that, if you want to learn about the other forms of mental discipline and meditation, or get more in-depth instruction in that, you can join. There's a link in the description below to the Patreon. It's just $5 a month. And yeah, you get access to that, as well as some very advanced teachings such as lucid dreaming. And that is the next one that I wanted to talk to you about. There's actually a video course that you get access to as a member. Even at just $5 a month, you get access to this video course, which initially was a 4-week course that I gave to members, and we recorded it. So now you can go and watch that at your leisure if you're a member. And it got pretty in-depth, but lucid dreaming has been scientifically proven through various different studies. In particular, Dr. Stephen LaBarge, he did a study where he proved lucid dreaming was real. And the way that he did that was he had people hooked up to monitoring devices in like a sleep lab, like you would find if you like if you have narcolepsy, then you probably have been to a sleep lab once or twice. And one of the things that they did was they had these people who claimed to be able to practice and achieve the state of lucid dreaming. And if you're not sure what that is, a lucid dream is a dream. You're asleep and dreaming, and you realize that you're dreaming while you're still in the dream. Now, most people, the first few times at least that they do this, often they'll wake up immediately. As soon as they realize that they're dreaming, they'll just wake up. Now, sometimes people have a more traumatic experience where sometimes they'll be in a nightmare and they know it's a dream and they're trying to wake up and they can't. Actually, you don't need to be afraid. That's a very powerful position to be in, because if you understand that it's a dream, you can understand that nothing can really truly hurt you in the dream. So there's no reason to try and wake yourself up. You can actually just change the narrative, or just see what happens, or you can just go with it and see how it goes without fear, or with lesser fear at least, because sometimes it's hard to break that fear even if you understand that you're dreaming. But this can be a stepping stone, and it can be very beneficial to experience lucid dreaming and to actively participate in your dream, or at least to experience a dream with the knowledge that it is a dream. There's so many possibilities, and if you go to my YouTube channel and check out, there's actually a lucid dreaming playlist which has all kinds of information about how to achieve lucid dreaming, things that you can do in a lucid dream. Actually, just I think it was about a week or so ago, I did a video on things to do in a lucid dream, and that can help develop your brain physically, actually physically improve the health of your physical brain through lucid dreaming, building in redundancy into the physical structure of your brain itself. So that's one of the benefits of lucid dreaming, is that you can introduce a lot of novelty. And if you look at the thumbnail, I think I put novelty on steroids in the thumbnail. So that's one of the benefits of lucid dreaming, and it is scientifically proven. So that's something you can do, and there's a lot of exploration you can do in lucid dreaming. Like it require, like, I could devote hours of talking about it to you. And actually I have in the public available free videos on my channel, as well as if you decide to join the Novus Ordo Luciferi, it's just $5 a month, and you'll get access to that really advanced lucid dreaming and astral projection course that gets quite in-depth into some of the more advanced techniques and practices that you can involve yourself with in regards to lucid dreaming. As Aquel said, it's been a long day. I feel like dreaming myself soon. Jeremy has a great video catalog. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's one of the things that people know me for is lucid dreaming. One of my friends actually said that when he thinks of me, he thinks more of lucid dreaming than he thinks of Luciferianism when about the things that I talk about. So yeah, it's definitely one of the things that I am heavily interested and passionate about is lucid dreaming, and I've been doing it ever since I was a little kid, actually. So if you're interested in that, definitely go to my YouTube channel and check that out. And if you want to get access to that course, like I said, it's only $5. And the next one, so we'll go on to the third thing that you can do, which is if you count relaxation and meditation as two separate things, which I do, then actually this will be the fourth thing. Okay, which one am I going to do for the fourth? Certain types of divination, believe it or not, are scientifically proven to be effective ways of communicating with your own subconscious mind. So there is something called the ideomotor effect, and this comes into play in certain forms of divination. And divination, typically when most people think divination, they think fortune telling, but it's a lot more than that. It's about insights. It's about gaining insight into your situation and learning more about yourself and that sort of thing. So there's a lot that you can do with different forms of divination. Now, one form of divination you can do that has scientific backing behind it is pendulum use. So people can utilize a pendulum where, you know, I don't have one handy on my desk here, but basically any weight at the end of some sort of string or chain can be utilized as a pendulum. And what you're supposed to do is ideally don't keep your elbow on anything. Don't put your elbow down on a surface. Just have it free floating. Hold the chain or the rope or whatever it happens to be, a leather thong or whatever, anything you want, you can have hanging with a weight at the end, and you establish what is yes and what is no, and what is unknown. You can have a third one that's unknown. And then so what you do is you say, okay, for yes, show me yes. Basically, it's the simplest way you can do it is just say, show me yes, and then just wait and watch. And at some point, the pendulum will start to form a pattern. Usually it'll be swinging forward and backward, or it'll be swinging left and right, or sometimes it will spin. And sometimes you can even have a difference between spinning clockwise or spinning counterclockwise. So there's different ways that it can move, but what you'll do is you'll establish what is yes and what is no, and then you just start asking it questions, and you give it time to answer. Don't expect an answer immediately. Just wait, and it will just start giving you answers. And now the ideomotor effect is what this is called, and this comes into play through Ouija board as well. And actually, Azaquel mentioned that too. Azaquel in the comments said, I love the pendulum. I started with the Ouija board as a child, though. Both of them are utilizing the ideomotor effect. And I love Ouija board as well too, but you need more than one person to do it usually. Some people can do it by themselves, but it's a lot easier if you have more than one person. And I'll explain the difference. So with a pendulum, what happens is it will amplify. Basically, it's a mechanical method of amplifying very tiny, imperceptible or not consciously perceptible movements of the muscles in your arm and hand. And it will amplify it to the point where it creates those movements, such as the circles or the swinging back and forth or side to side and that sort of thing. It will create those by amplifying those tiny movements. And when you ask a question, subconsciously, you will be, your subconscious mind will cause you to move your hand in a way that generates the movement. So in a way, you are communicating with your subconscious mind through the pendulum. And now some people like to say that they are communicating with spirits, and I'm not going to say that that's not true. This video is about people who want to try out different occult practices, but don't necessarily believe in anything, and they don't want to feel silly about it. Now, scientifically, it has been proven. Look up ideomotor effect, and it's been proven that you can essentially communicate between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind by utilizing a pendulum like that. Now, with a Ouija board, because you generally have 2 or more people involved, it ends up becoming like a collective unconscious between the operators, the people who have their hand on it. And it's so funny because it feels like the other person is moving it, and you both go back and forth. If it's 2 people or 3 people, you go back and forth and be like, "You're moving it, aren't you?" And they're like, "No, you're moving it. Stop moving it. Let's do this for real, And it feels like the other person's moving it, but they're not. Sometimes there is a person that's moving it, and you just got to have people who are doing it who are actually sincere. But I've had people who are like obviously moving it, and I'm like, that just kind of ruins it. I wanted to, actually do it right, But if you have people who are sincere and they're doing it, you just lightly, you don't put your elbows down, just like with the pendulum, and you will lightly put your fingers, at least like say 2 fingers. If there's only 2 people, then do it with both hands, 2 fingers on the planchette. That's the pointer, and it will move around the board and it will go to different letters. And so it's a lot more advanced than a pendulum. You can get actual messages written out. Sometimes it's gibberish, but usually it's something coherent. And what's happening there is essentially you've created a way to communicate with a collective unconscious between the people who have their fingers on that planchette. So it's pretty wild. It feels really weird. It feels spooky, and there's all kinds of stories about the dangers of Ouija boards and that sort of thing. But as a skeptic, you can practice it and you can see how you can explore it and do an experiment and see how it works. And it's essentially you're communicating with your unconscious mind as well as any other the subconscious mind of anybody else who's using it with you. And so it's really fun to do, and you can do it without having to actually believe in any kind of supernatural cause. Anonymous Boss said, "How are you doing?" "I'm doing great. How about yourself?" Also, Anonymous Boss said, "What a coincidence I stumbled again on your live stream at the right time, Jeremy." Yeah, well, maybe it's a sign. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then I highly encourage you to do so. Anybody here who's watching this, if you're enjoying what I'm talking about, I talk about this sort of thing quite often, and I have live streams fairly often as well. I hadn't had one in the past week just because I was so exhausted and I really needed my sleep and to take care of myself. But I try and do these as often as I can, and I try and do them every night if I'm able to, but I usually can't do them every single night, but I try. So yeah, if you've been enjoying this video, click like, and that will um, tell the algorithm that you want to see more of this type of material. Oh, I got a super chat here. Thank you, Anonymous Boss. Hey Jeremy, how you doing? Hope all is well. Yes, it is. Thank you very much. Do you practice any meditation when you wake up? I had a yoga class the other day. It was pretty good. I don't necessarily practice meditation when I wake up. I'll set aside a time in the day to practice meditation when I'm able to. I also sometimes do like a type of walking meditation where I won't necessarily sit and do the meditation, where I got quite good at meditating when I was going regularly to the Tibetan Buddhist temple. And in that form, you sit, and it's great to do that when you start out. But as you kind of understand the mindset that you end up getting into, the specific focus that you enter into, then you're able to do it while doing basic tasks like walking. And so a lot of times I'll try and do a meditation while I'm doing like a just walking or something like that. And so I don't usually do it when I wake up. Usually when I wake up, I try and recall my dreams, and I'll fill up my dream journal. So that's usually what I do when I wake up. Yoga is great too. It's a great exercise as well. It's great for your body. It's great that you mentioned that, because it's been studied how beneficial yoga can be for your body, even if you don't believe in it. Like if you don't believe in any kind of the spiritual aspect of it, and I'm talking more hatha yoga, the physical movements and stretches and such. Oh, Azaqual said, if you ever want to play with anyone sincere, let me know. I do miss it. We would have to figure that out. For Ouija board, I assume you're talking about. Yeah, that would be fun. Maybe we'll manage to arrange that sometime. So one thing before we move on to the final skeptical occult practice that you can do without having to believe in anything supernatural, is that after this live stream, there will be a private members meeting for members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi. Tonight will just be a casual hangout where we can discuss whatever we want. People can ask questions. We can get to know each other, that sort of thing. It will not be recorded for later. It's just if you happen to have the opportunity to join, as if you're a member of the NOL, the Novus Ordo Luciferi, then you can join this evening. The link is in both the private members Discord server as well as in a member locked Patreon post. And if you wanted to join tonight, you can actually hop on after this. We're going to start in about 15 minutes from now at like around 11:33 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're interested in joining, if you're not already a member, the link is in the description of this video to the Patreon, and that's how most people join. And then, like I said earlier, it's only $5 a month. Cancel anytime, rejoin later if you want. It's pretty casual in that sense. I wanted to make it accessible. As a Luciferian, that's a core value that we have, is that we try to make knowledge available to those who are seeking it. And so I didn't want to put up too many barriers to that, so people can access that knowledge. But it's still a private community as well. So if you do want to participate in the order, and learn Luciferian alchemy and these other practices we've been talking about, as well as others, and participate in the community aspect of it as well. Like I said, the Patreon link is in the description, and you can join super fast, and you can jump on the private meeting after this live stream. So the final thing that I wanted to talk about is ritual. So with ritual, there is actually quite a bit of study, scientific study and psychological studies as well, that have shown that practicing ritual or ceremonies can be very beneficial in a lot of different ways, even if you don't believe it. There was actually an article in Scientific American several years back where they had done these experiments where they showed a distinct improvement in the ability for people to grieve if they had a simple made-up ritual that they could perform to help them deal with that grief. Now, you also have people who utilize ritual to get them into a certain mindset where they can focus better. So, like, for example, professional sports or athletes will have certain rituals that they do before performing, and that helps them get in the zone. It helps them get focused, and they find that when they don't do those rituals, then they don't have as much focus and they don't perform as well. It really does make a difference. And so there are many benefits of ritual. And you know what? People hear the word ritual and they get a little freaked out sometimes. We do have so much ritual and ceremony in secular society that has nothing to do with supernatural beliefs, but we do it anyways. You know, we have civil marriage ceremonies that are not done in churches. They're done by justice of the peace, and people find immense meaning and value in those types of marriage rituals. For example, marriage ceremonies. You have graduation ceremonies, and these are like marking certain milestones in a person's life or certain accomplishments that they have, and sometimes it just doesn't feel like your accomplishment is being recognized if you don't have some sort of ceremony to celebrate it. And so it can be extremely beneficial to a person's emotional and psychological well-being to mark these occasions, and that includes like a funeral as well, to help people deal with grief and etc. Oh, I see here that we have another super chat by Anonymous Boss. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support of this channel. Okay, you said after the yoga class, I had yet another out-of-body experience, and this time I went again to the underworld, and I have a strong connection to the infernal. Could you tell us this time a little more about the Beelzebub experience? Yeah, I mean, we don't have a ton of time, but I can tell you that I did have an experience that was initially in a lucid dream, where there was this initially came to me as a turtle, believe it or not, as an anthropomorphic turtle, and I recognized that it was a dream that I was having, and I still felt a bit intimidated, and this figure was coming toward me, and it felt menacing, you know, and I projected acceptance and even love towards this entity, but it didn't respond very. Didn't even barely respond to that, which usually it would in that type of experience that I had. And I mean, really, what I'm getting into here is a type of shadow work, and what I'm explaining at the request of Anonymous Boss here is the type of shadow work that I was performing within lucid dreams. And this turtle man was coming at me, and it was quite dark, and it was very shadowy and had this menacing, and it wasn't responding to the usual things that I would typically do to try and get a type of entity like that or a dream character to open up. And it basically came in and attacked me. And at the time, because I knew it was a dream, I just let it. And I woke up from that experience, and I was a little shaken from it, even though I understood that, there was it couldn't physically harm me, but I understood that it represented something that was unresolved. There was something unresolved in that, and so I later went into astral projection experiences, and I specifically called that entity back. And when I did that, I realized that that entity was Beelzebub. And I'm not going to go too much more in depth because it's quite personal on this public channel, but if you wanted to ask me about it in a more private setting, then maybe I could tell you a bit more. But yeah, and actually we only have about 5 minutes left before I'm going to wrap this live stream up, because I do have that private meeting afterwards, which we're going to start at 11:33 p.m. Eastern time, and it's 11:25 right now. So we only have about 5 minutes before I got to wrap it up and give myself a chance to get that meeting started. But yeah, it was quite intense, and I actually ended up having several sessions where I worked with Beelzebub after that on the astral plane, rather than calling him up to physical appearance like you find in a lot of grimoires. I went there. I went to him basically halfway anyways. I kind of went halfway. I went into the astral realms and called him forth, and then I interacted with him there. So, Tony the Pony says hi all. Hello Tony, thanks for popping in and participating in the chat. Lunar Primate is here as well. Welcome. Yeah, so those are the major types of what is typically referred to as occult practice that you can engage in freely without having any kind of belief in the supernatural, because there are benefits that have been scientifically proven. And just to recap what those were: relaxation, meditation, and mental disciplines. One of the things that I meant to mention there in that section was self-hypnosis, which is another form of mental discipline, which has had a lot of study about. But yeah, the ones that we did cover in this video were relaxation, meditation, and mental disciplines. Lucid dreaming, that has been extensively studied and and has been proven scientifically, and has a lot of benefits. Like I said, if you want to know more about that, go into my YouTube channel. There's a whole playlist of tons of videos that can tell you more about that and how it can benefit you. What was the other one? Oh yeah, certain forms of divination like pendulum and Ouija board, through the ideomotor effect. And then finally we covered ritual and how ritual can be beneficial and has been studied scientifically, and that sort of thing. Oh, cool. Buried Alive commented here, yeah, I quit a 25-year tobacco addiction with self-hypnosis. That's wonderful. That's excellent. Yeah. If you can kick a tobacco addiction, that's a huge benefit to your health. and not just your physical health, but your mental and emotional well-being, to not have that dependency on a substance like that. That's excellent. Congratulations, Buried Alive. Anonymous Boss said, thank you for talking with us. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again for your super chats, Anonymous Boss. I really appreciate the support of this channel. Another way that people can support this channel without having to contribute financially is you can hit the subscribe button, click that notification bell if you want to get the notifications, but you don't have to if those notifications annoy you. I don't know, but I like to get notifications from the channels that I really like, and hit that like button, and that is another way that you can support the channel without having to necessarily provide financial support. But any type of support that you can give, if you could share this video with people that you think might benefit from it or that might enjoy it, then I encourage you to do that as well. And until next time, everybody, stay lucid.